Alright guys, so the steering on my wife's car became decoupled from the front wheels. So you turn the steering wheel and the wheels don't turn. It happened after she hit a pothole really hard. She said it took like 4 days and it would get worse and worse until one day she was pulling out of a parking lot and it just started turning and the wheels didn't go anywhere. So it was gradually getting worse. And I figured it out. I didn't do it on camera, but I'm just going to show you what I did. It's not that hard. Okay. So the first thing I did is I took the wheels off, and this protective plastic covering was already off. That's a red flag. That might have something to do with it. There's a bunch of dirt and stuff back in here, and maybe that dirt got in there because the cover wasn't protecting it. That could have been a factor, maybe. Okay. You can see here with the car off, it just turns. Well, it stopped turning now. I don't know why. Well, it locked. But I just connected this to it and I pulled from the ground. And when I pulled, this thing turned. This thing was turning. The wheel's locked now. Let me try to start the car so I can unlock it. That's annoying that it just did that. Alright boys, so the steering wheel's not locked anymore and you can see it turns freely, right? You can see that. So what I did is I turned it to the left like that. You don't want to turn it too much because there is a wiring harness inside it. If you overturn it, since it's messed up right now, that could break the wiring harness, so just don't overturn it. So once I got it there, I'm using this tow strap to turn it while I'm on the ground so I can watch what happens without a partner. So I strapped it like that, and then through here, around the front of here, and then I got it down to here, so I can pull like this. So now watch what happens. Alright, I'm going to start pulling now. 1, 2, 3. Look, it's turning. But the pulling is not. Awesome, man. What if they didn't use the locking washer or something? Alright, so you guys saw the problem, right? This is called the lower link assembly, and this is called the steering rack. I mean, this is called the lower steering column assembly connector or something like that. Hold on, let me check the name. Alright boys, here you can see Nissan Murano steering column. This is the whole thing. It attaches near the steering wheel. It comes through the firewall. You can see this just on the other side of the firewall when looking through the inner wheel well of the driver's side wheel with the wheel off. You can see this. You can see that. This is called the universal joint assembly, I think. No, it's not. Well, maybe it's a universal joint assembly attached to something else. I don't know, but the name of the part we would want is this: steering column joint assembly lower. That's it. It's $30.
you can see this is the part that actually clips onto the gear stem that comes out of the rack and pinion. This has teeth inside it that match up to those teeth, and it tightens up with this little set screw. And that set screw is very important for it not to loosen up. I have to assume that hers loosened up, which is scary. How do you avoid that? That's why it's turning freely. It's not even working. And here's something cool. Okay. You can see some teeth right here a little bit. But if you look here, you can really see them. You see these teeth? They go vertically. And those line up with the rack and pinion teeth. Let me look that up real quick. That's the best I could find. You can see there's little teeth on this. So that thing comes down and it bolts onto those teeth. And those teeth... Here's another picture. I don't think it's that good. You can't really see the teeth in this picture, but those teeth need to go. Here's another one. This is here's where your steering wheel goes. You can see this has the same type of teeth here. And this is all electronic stuff and stuff related to turn signal and keys and all that stuff. And then this is your steering column. This is your steering column portion of it as well. And then this is where the firewall connects. And then this comes down. That thing goes up through all this, I think, and attaches somewhere. But this is the end piece that's called the steering column joint assembly lower. And yeah, man, that's the teeth. Now, what I see here is a locking washer here. So that tells me that this thing is designed in such a way that this thing could back out, in which case this thing would open up like a Pac-Man mouth. It just open, these would get wider, and the steering column would become decoupled. So this thing has to be down tight. When she would hit a big road bump or something, the locking washer would cause this thing to be able to unscrew itself little by little as it got all greasy over time and rattling. And it eventually opened this thing up. And she just had the rack and pinion job done a year and 2 months ago. And it was their fault. They installed this thing on poorly. So pretty much all I have to do would be to remove this, install a locking washer, bolt it back down real tight, and we'll be done.
12 millimeter. Alright, we got an extension and we got swivel ratchet and a 12 millimeter socket. Yeah, it's backing out on the other side. We got to back that up. 12 millimeter box wrench, I think. Why wouldn't that match? How can it be another size? Then you just made up parts. Whoever put this together to use parts that didn't come with it. They just used a random nut and bolt. That's why it came loose. Otherwise, why would they be different sizes? Incompetent mechanics, boys. Almost got my wife killed. She blames her poor car. She's always saying, let me buy a new car. And I say, no, this is my baby. I'm taking care of this car now. I don't want to give up on it. As soon as we can root out all the crap her other mechanics did, Now she's got a real mechanic that actually cares. Is it locking watch right here? Huh. Looks like it is. It also looks like it's not locking a whole lot because it doesn't have much of an angle to it. It looks flattened, you know? Like it lost its spring. Look how wet this is. See how the locking washer isn't really going to be a locking washer? Look how not, these are supposed to be offset more, right? Whoa, guys, look at this thing. This is a stripped bolt. Look at it. Why would it be all smooth like that in spots? Right or no? That's not right. That's not good, right? You guys think that's part of it? It's all stripped. Between that and this thing not being offset that much, I want to try to buy that nut and bolt. I don't know if you can buy that specifically. And including the locking washer, that's what I need. Those three things. A nut, a bolt, and a locking washer for that part. Could I buy that, guys?
I took the bolt out and inspected it, and the mechanic that installed it originally used the wrong size nut. He used American Standard nut, and it was supposed to be like a machine nut, or like the thread taper was wrong. And so that's why it didn't stay on. Under all the vibrations, it worked its way out over time. It was also the wrong size. The bolt was 12 millimeter, the nut was 13 millimeter. So it was the wrong size and the wrong thread pitch. So that explained why her steering failed. It was actually a mechanic, it was the fault of the mechanic that installed it. And I'm having my dad go out and pick up a replacement bolt because the bolt's completely stripped and flattened and teeth are missing from the threads from all the vibrations and rattling as it slowly had that nut work its way outward. So it's completely destroyed. So I'm going to get a new bolt, a new nut, a new locking washer. I'm going to use blue Loctite, and I'm going to bolt it real tight. Now I considered maybe the rack and pinion and steering column needs to be replaced as well, at least the lower section of the steering column, because maybe the teeth got damaged from all the rattling since it was loose for so long. Maybe that was compromised, but my dad said just to go ahead and pay careful attention to it, inspect it regularly, but he thinks that just tightening it back down with the proper nut and bolt will be sufficient, and he said he would just go with that rather than just start replacing all that stuff, which is really expensive stuff that may not even be damaged. But I can't even see if the teeth are that damaged because I would have to actually take apart the steering column to actually remove it from the rack and pinion completely. Right now it's still on it, so I can't look at the teeth. My dad said there will be play in the steering if it's actually compromised beyond that, so I should just go ahead and just bolt it down tight again. This is the bolt that failed. This is the bottom of the steering column. This is where it connects to the rack and pinion. These teeth are what I was concerned that might be compromised from all the rattling. This V-shaped thing that clamps down to the rack and pinion was wide open. and this nut was completely loose. Also, this lock washer was completely flat. It didn't have a separation between that and that, so it would no longer lock. I think they reused it. They're only supposed to be used once and replaced. So I think that was another issue. They reused a washer that's meant to only be used once. Once it's over torqued, it becomes flat and it loses springiness the next time you try to use it. So this bolt needs to be replaced if you replace the rack and pinion. So this part is going to pinch down real tight onto the rack and pinion axle shaft, which slides into this hole right on the bottom here. And this was just turning loose on the rack and pinion where it slides into here. Nissans are gross, they rely on splines only. Exactly. I even thought about, you know what I thought about? It's funny you say that. I thought about drilling a hole through this and putting a bolt through this part and through the rack and pinion shaft and then bolting it there too. That way it would not be possible. Or putting safety wire through it or something like that and cranking it down in addition to this so that even if this failed, you've got a backup. But I didn't like the idea of it being slined. I even thought of welding it on or something. I just didn't like this design. It's like, so you're telling me if this bolt loosens up, you die? Like, my wife could have easily died. I don't like that. A rattling, loose bolt that is under a vibrating system, that if it even loosens up, you die? Come on. How much does a new one cost? This part is like 25 bucks. New rack and pinions like 250. Probably be like 3 days of labor. So for me that'd be $120 since I'm paying $5 an hour to my interns.